Hello, friends, sainted creationists, evil evolutionists. Welcome to Sunday Cinematic Service, where we take a look at faith in cinema. This week we decided, rather than look at, narrative features films, we decided to expand our intellectual pursuits. And after discovering we couldn't find a copy of Nude Nuns with Big Guns that was watchable, we decided on the documentary Expelled No Intelligence Allowed by Ben Stein. I'm joined by the missing link, Marcus.
Hello, Heath. Hello.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
Do
you want me to try that again? Or?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Oh, I'm ruining this.
It's fine. Keep it loose. Let's keep it going.
Keep it loose. Much better at pre-scripted stuff.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Tear down the wall of pre-scripted material.
2008 saw this documentary come out. Much to, let's say, mixed critical response. It currently sits at 11% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's 10% too high.
Yeah, it is. It was lambasted by what you would consider the mainstream media, with a lot of people sort of indicating that it veers somewhere in between, out and out propaganda and off the handle conspiracy theory. It follows Ben Stein around as he goes and interviews creationists and proponents of intelligent design. As I've discovered in this, we shouldn't be conflating the two because apparently they're different, and we'll get into that in a second. But for the most part, it's there. What do you think of 2008's Expelled No Intelligence Allowed?
Well, it's terrible. By any metric, it's awful. It's ham-fisted and, it uses incredibly obvious metaphors, which it mixes as well. It mainly just follows sort of Ben Stein around without any kind of all it does is basically, it does the thing where he'll go and talk to someone. He's never in the same shot as the interviewee usually. So when he interviews Richard Dawkins will say a line well, there's no evidence for God. And then it'll just be his voiceover well, if there's no evidence for God, how do you account for this? Then we cut to Paris. It says Paris in the corner. Oh, look there, it's the Eiffel Tower. Doo-doo-doo. Some nice French music plays underneath. Now we'll interview someone who says one other line. And so the first hour is just a complete mess because every scene's too short. You never get any kind of coherent view. And then the last half an hour is just completely insane, trying to conflate atheism and a belief in rational scientific thought with communism. And yeah, it's badly made. I don't even think a Christian person who is logical, contradicting terms possibly, but I don't think a skeptical religious person would look at this and just go anything other than this is objectively awful. But yeah, it's awful. What do you think? I'm assuming similar.
Oh no, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I think it was a brilliant takedown of those damn evolutionists and their ideas about monkeys and whatnot.
Well, have you ever seen a monkey? Have you seen a kangaroo turn into a monkey?
No.
No,
exactly. That's my point.
Think about it all. Why wouldn't monkeys choose to evolve if evolution was real? Do they just prefer being monkeys or something like that?
Why isn't everyone a human? Why isn't every animal a human?
Exactly, yeah. Humans are better than other animals, objectively.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't understand why anyone would believe this crackpot from the 19th century who traveled around in a boat.
Yeah. He had a damn massive beard for one as well.
Exactly.
Could not afford a razor. Yeah.
Who could? How can you trust someone with a massive beard?
Exactly, walking around in his cheap robes. And,
Exactly.
Oh no, that's a different person. Where do we? I think one of the main problems of the film as well is that like you have this weird thing where Ben Stein. I was shocked when you said that he was a actor in 80 films.
Yeah.
Because the charisma just ain't there.
Yeah. I think mostly he plays someone who their sole purpose is to suck the charisma out of the room.
Oh right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Because like you get this weird thing. It's almost like watching a Terrence Malick film or something. Because someone will say something, then he'll just sort of stare off. And you get these weird things constantly in this documentary where the person finishes talking and it just stays on them too long.
Yeah.
There's one where it does Richard Dawkins will say something, then he just blinks for about 10, like, holds it on for about 5 seconds, and you just see him blink. And like, it's a really odd effect that, like, I don't know if they were doing it just to pad the film out to feature length, but just constantly you get the like shots of that, or just Ben Stein looking away or looking like in the distance, and it's very odd. Yeah,
no, it is, and the use of stock footage in it is just like it's off the charts. Like, like this documentary is more stock footage than documentary. Like it's just, and so much stock footage of Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany and whatnot.
Stalinist Russia? Don't you mean America today?
Yeah. Don't you mean if the scientists got their way?
Oh yeah, because like the central metaphor that is used throughout the film is that there is a wall, like a self-imposed wall that the evolutionists have put around their gilded cage of the universities, and anyone trying to think their way out of it is like pushed aside and not allowed to have the cushy academic jobs. Well, what is your problem with people who believe in creationism, intelligent design, being given tenure at schools? What is your problem with them teaching science?
Well, it's wrong. Is why. So I suppose it's a similar sort of thing as to why don't we let people who believe in like bloodletting be doctors anymore? It's an outdated idea that's been shown not to work and is not correct.
But can you definitively prove bloodletting has ever killed anyone?
Yes. Lots of people.
How do you know it wasn't something else?
Well, yeah, it's probably whatever was afflicting them, but I don't believe that draining their blood helped.
But I had someone that came with a common cold, I letted their blood, and they were fine afterwards.
All right.
After 3 days, they were walking around like normal.
Yeah. Did you also keep them well hydrated and give them like soup and stuff?
Well, of course, yeah.
But I this thing, and anyway, this film, I'm calling it a film. It is like what I was saying at the start about it being like veering between like propaganda and like crazy conspiracy is because this sort of idea of this wall and these people not being able to they're getting fired from their jobs because they mention intelligent design and stuff like that, and then they do go back to the what I was saying at the start about it veering between propaganda and like crazy conspiracy theory is that when you're talking about the self-imposed wall and that sort of thing, it these people saying, oh, I was fired because I mentioned intelligent design once, and so they got rid of me because they don't want anyone to talk about it. And then like they go and speak to like the heads of the department and that sort of thing, and they just say, no, that's not the reason they weren't. One of them, they were saying, the
contract expired.
Yeah, the contract expired, and they didn't renew it. And the other one was like, yeah, well, we didn't, I forget exactly what it was, but
think about that. That's what they would say.
Exactly, but that's how then they frame it. They're like, yeah, and they wouldn't go off their script about it. It's like, no, it's not a script. It's what happened.
Yeah.
There's no conspiracy here. And the journalist, the one who was like, I wrote an article about intelligent design, and then every article I wrote afterwards was scrutinized. And I'm like, well, why shouldn't what you're writing be scrutinized? What, like, on any level? Like,
well, I'd be more worried if, you know, like, she'd published articles before that, like, weren't, like, you know, no editor had done it. It was just like, get in the paper, put in the paper.
Exactly. Just beyond reproach. That's, I think, what she expects her journalistic career to be.
Wow. But yeah, like the bits that like some of it, as you say, is just wild conspiracy theory. Some of that last half an hour, that is brutal. Like when he goes to the concentration camps.
Oh yeah,
that's immoral. Well, do you want to describe briefly what his ideas are at the concentration camp?
Oh well, yeah. Basically, it's a sort of an old argument about Darwinism and Nazi Germany. And basically, a lot of the ideas of like eugenics are based in sort of Darwinist ideas, but it is kind of ridiculous in its like it's like saying, you know, oh, physics created the atomic bomb, so let's get rid of physics. Like chemistry invented Cyclone B, which is the stuff that they used to kill the Jews. It's like, let's get rid of chemistry. Like, let's, you know, they're saying like, get rid of all these, get rid of this science because some bad person used it for bad purposes. It doesn't mean that the science is bad. It means that the people using it are bad.
Well, yeah, it's like, well, he doesn't even go into, you know, like, religion is behind, you know, the conflict in Israel now. It's been behind all these other, like the Crusades. He doesn't say, well, we should get rid of religion then.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he does that thing where he just goes like, these people have used it in the wrong way, therefore it's inherently evil. And, you know, like, you'd think somebody who must have heard that said about religion before would be wise enough not to, like, not to use it in his own way. So you know what I mean? So the opposite side of it is that, you know, religion, you know, it's been behind all these historic, you know, horrible massacres and all this. Like, you could easily say the same about religion as he does Darwinism, like, being used as an excuse for... And he must have come across that before from an atheist standpoint about religion.
I'm sure he has. You know, he's like, there's nothing about this that you know you can look at and go, well, he's being genuine. It's like, it is incredibly disingenuous. Like, it's just awful. Like how, you know, and it is barefaced as well, which is something that I kind of appreciate about it.
Yeah.
Like, if I was saying there's one good thing about it, is that the propaganda in it is barefaced propaganda. Like, it's like, here's my interview with Richard Dawkins. He says a line, picture of Stalin. Like, it's like, yeah, I know what you're doing here.
But wouldn't you agree if Dawkins got his way, we'd be in a death camp? Picture of a death camp. Yeah. Well, I prefer this to what's it called, The Matter of Faith, which was so woolly about what he believed, and it was just trying to say like everyone can coexist. This is purely just like, this is a war we're at with these people, so we must beat them and defeat them.
I'm assuming that like all of the academics at the start of this piece were like what were like the all boiled down and became like wise black men from A Matter of Faith.
Oh right,
like it's sort of that's the. It seems like that those people were the genesis of
what became wise black man.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is so extreme and all, and it's so funny like how ridiculous his points are. And yeah, just the way it goes into this weird sort of right wing stuff at the end, like where he tries to conflate concentration camps with assisted suicide and abortion.
Oh yeah. The whole idea of eugenics with which is just insane. Like, well, they're talking about how, you know, getting rid of economic. I can't say the word, but basically, you know, making human life a commodity and that sort of thing, and that's the only reason why you would have things like abortion and euthanasia and stuff like that, rather than actually, you know, ending someone's suffering through euthanasia and that sort of thing. And similarly, the same argument can be made for abortion as well.
Well, yeah, like to say abortion shouldn't be done in any circumstances because it's the same as the concentration camp is just insane. It's like the most far right position on abortion you could possibly get. Like.
Exactly. No one's like the difference here is that when you're talking about eugenics, it is forcing people to be sterilized. It's forcing people to be killed and that sort of thing. No one's advocating for forced abortions or forced euthanasia. People are saying maybe we should give people the option of these things.
Wait though. Did Hitler win on a platform of killing all the Jews? No, it was incremental.
Oh,
that's
that's
what you're
true.
forgetting.
I know. He also advocated for gun control. So
Well, he would have taken everyone's guns away eventually if we'd have let him do it. But it's a valid point. It has to start somewhere. One day it's Planned Parenthood, next day it's
we're marching all the undesirables into the death camps. I know.
But that's just
big PP across all the camps.
Big PP,
Planned Parenthood.
Right, yeah. That's such a weird thing, though. The film and all, one of its many problems is it's just so scattershot as well. It loses the thread on what it's saying so many times to make these bizarre points. There's about maybe 30 minutes of decent content here that you could have as a DVD extra or something.
Yeah. Well, actually, one of the things that I found funny is that there were a few instances where people would just sort of contradict themselves in within a sentence. The main example that sticks in my mind is the guy that was talking about. He originally starts off going, Darwin didn't I believe that there's small variations between generations and that, but Darwin didn't call it small variations between generations. He called it the origin of species.
Oh yeah.
And then in the next sentence he goes, and Darwin doesn't say anywhere in that where the origin of life was. I'm like, yes. That's correct.
There's that was one where you seemed to go in a rage. Sort of, you could tell on your face. And the other one was where the guy was like, well, he never gets into where people came from. What how can he explain that? What is the origin of man?
It's it doesn't matter. That's not what it's about.
But no, say God does exist and you met him though, wouldn't you? What would you say to him? I hate that line of logic he gets into. What if God did exist?
I think Dawkins countered with the Bertrand Russell quote, but Stephen Fry recently was quoted, asked the same question and was quoted, and it's brilliant, and I may actually like stick it in here.
Okay.
What he said, because it's really good. But anyway, that sort of the idea that you know, framing it as if God exists, or what would you say? It's a really pointless question, and I don't know why. Well, I know why people do it.
People do it to evade the fact that they must know at some level that they've been like intellectual outmatched. Do you think Ben Stein considers himself to be like the intellectual equal of Dawkins?
Oh, he probably considers himself to be. I don't think he is.
Well, definitely he isn't.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know. They're from different fields. One's
a Nixon speechwriter and lawyer.
Yeah.
An economist and actor.
Exactly. The other's microbiologist. They're completely different areas. So I think I'll listen to the economist/lawyer when it comes to ideas of biology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you think worse than all this? Has Ben Stein made any other insane documentaries like this? Actually, I'm just thinking.
No, I can't think of any.
I'm surprised he's not become like the religious rights version of like Dinesh D'Souza or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like just whacking out like a film a year or something. That's like, you know, another insane question. So I reckon the sequel to this would be like, people say abortion is for women's rights, but what if women don't want abortions? Then you'd get like some woman who doesn't want one. It'd be like, did they try and force you? And she's like, yeah, they showed me some slides saying I'd die if I didn't have the baby. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you could just make these, you could farm these out, couldn't you? Like,
well, I don't know whether, potentially, because I think there was quite a lot of backlash to this. So,
which there never has been to a Dinesh D'Souza film.
Yeah, but I don't think that Ben Stein potentially had the sort of fortitude that Dinesh D'Souza has. And I don't know how much of, this was actually, like whether... I'm assuming Ben Stein had some sort of, like, input into it, but, like, how much he actually then got out of it again.
Well, I don't think he's going to have recouped that $3.5 million, the budget. I mean, that's insane. This film cost $3.5 million.
Yeah. Well, it made 7.7 at the box office.
Well, of course it did, actually, yeah.
So...
but I mean, look at it. It looks like it was made for like nothing, basically.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know where the money went. I'm assuming it's probably some sort of like Ponzi scheme or something like that, allegedly.
What if it was a producer-style scam where he sold more, and then like he was actually upset that it made this much money? He might be a deeply intelligent man who thought this is guaranteed to flop.
Yeah, I don't think so. I can't imagine like it looking in America at the moment. Well, it's not at the moment, but 10 years ago, it was still a similar sort of climate. Like, there's enough evangelical Christians in there, to actually make it profitable quite easily.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I suppose, to make that 7.7, you probably only need to market it in a few states or something, like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's really depressing, I suppose, really, isn't it? That people actually watch this and probably go like, what brilliant points he's making.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that they sort of very interestingly brought up and then glossed over was that they were saying, like, the Eugenie... I forget her surname, the National Science Education Group. She was saying that that they don't have the problem with like mainstream Catholics and Protestants.
Yeah.
With the idea of evolution. Like, that seems to be able to be folded in. It's these evangelicals that are the main problem, are the ones that are pushing this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting in that they're talking about, I don't know why they make intelligent design out to be some sort of like religious issue. And it's like, well, if you look at the proponents of it, it's only religious people pushing it.
Yeah,
you don't see any atheists out there going, "Oh, I think we should be teaching
intelligent
design in school."
I love the section and all where he like goes like, they try and claim that there's no link between teaching evolution and atheism, but I interviewed these 3 people who said it made them slightly more inclined to be atheists.
But
because I think it is trying to make a link that, if you teach evolution, you will become an atheist, which I actually probably do agree with, though.
Yeah, no, well, this is the thing. This is one of the things I found, and it's persistent throughout. They try to make points about certain things and try to frame it as a bad thing. So they're like, but teaching evolution makes people atheists. It's like, well, is that a bad thing? Like, I know from your perspective, you want everyone to be a Christian.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing.
No, yeah, but to them it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's these people being told lies that force them to give up the honourable way kind of thing. Like, well, that's obviously a very, like, even that probably is giving them too much credit. I bet they're like, they're just like, oh no, they don't believe this anymore. Ban the whole practice. And
yeah. Oh well, yeah. It as I said, it was persistent in a lot of things. It like the same thing. It sort of goes back to what I was saying about the journalist and her work being scrutinized. It's like, yeah. One of the other things was like, he said, oh, to be a scientist today, you have to leave your religion at the door. It's like, Yes, correct. That's how that works. Yeah, you're supposed to be objective. If you're taking a subjective thing like religion into your work, you can't be objective.
But like hypocrites like this, they're always like that, where they, like they won't let me bring my religion into it. And I guarantee you they'd hate it if like the scientists they were with brought like politics into it or something.
Yeah.
Because like you shouldn't be able to just like explain away scientific problems of God or something. It's just like it makes you a bad scientist, doesn't it?
Like, well, yeah. How many churches are like being fair and balanced, let's say, and after their sermon, someone gets up and makes a speech about evolutionary biology or whatever.
Yeah.
Scientific reasons why God may not exist. Like, it's seemingly like they want to be able to inject religion into science, but if it was the other way around, they'd be fighting tooth and nail to stop it.
Yeah, of course they would.
Yeah.
Well, this gets into the whole fallacy of that fair and balanced argument, doesn't it? Like, fair and balanced should be that, like, you get the, like, it's not just an equal thing, is it? It's not like two opposing viewpoints being shared equally. Yeah. Like, quite frankly, if 97% of like scientists, which I think is roughly what it is, who are atheists.
Yeah.
If that's it, then they should get 97% of the, time to air their views. Like,
yeah,
there shouldn't be a 3% minority getting half the time of the, because it's not fair, is it? That's like not fair and balanced.
But this is the thing as well, though. Like you say, like 97% of scientists are atheists, right?
Yeah,
and 3% are Christian. But then you're sort of what you're then doing is conflating that with being a creationist. You don't need to be a creationist to be a Christian. So like you're even then like even my point is it's that. Like an even smaller percentage of people that believe this. Like there's not huge rallies of Christian scientists like going out on the street like trying to defend intelligent design. Like I think the scientists that he's found, that's probably it. Like,
well, it's pretty telling and all. He has to get to like different countries to find them as well. And maybe that's where the money went, just on his plane tickets to like Paris and stuff. And the people he interviews that agree with him seem like such hacks as well. Like, I love the one who just seems to not even be able to bother to sit up. He's like laying on his like couch.
Yeah, no, I like him. He's pretty cool.
He is pretty cool, but he's also complete. Like, his arguments make no sense. Like,
yeah, but he was.
But yeah, his arguments make no sense.
Yeah, well, no, he was a mathematician. So.
Oh right.
Yeah. Like this
so they couldn't even find everyone in the same field.
Yeah, no, this is the thing. There's a lot of these people weren't like even biologists. Like they were just scientists who believe in like intelligent design. It's like, and it works in that regard. Like because people would just look and see like Dr. blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and not read the like little bit below that actually says what their credentials are. This says that they're a mathematician or a physicist or whatever, and got nothing to do with this. Like there's so much of it though as well in there. Like,
but there's so much of that, and just trying to make the views seem as important as the people like they go up against. Like none of these people are obviously as acclaimed as Richard Dawkins. They won't have written like millions of selling books and stuff, and And I love the section and all where like he gets someone who makes the argument that humans are evolved from the crystals.
Yeah. Oh, life could have come
could have come from a crystal, which he says himself is just a hypothesis. And then like in the voiceover, it's like, well, that's just as ridiculous as God.
Yeah, and
it's like but one has like scientific fact behind it.
And I feel like this is sort of a bit telling in it as well that there are large sections of it cut out. Because he gives this like brief little spiel about the crystals thing, and then it cuts back to Ben, and he says something, and then the guy comes back and cuts back to Ben, and then it'll go back to and he'll like ask the question. So blah blah blah. Did it come from? And the guy, at each time this happens, he's only said one line, but he's getting more and more exacerbated each time, which sort of leads me to believe that there's a more like complex, overarching thing that this guy's talking about.
Yeah.
And every time it cuts back to Ben Stein going, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah. And the guy goes like, I've explained this to you, like, and it makes him seem like he's like like a complete idiot.
Well, this is the thing. Like, how long did these interviews last? I guarantee you the last one with Dawkins, the thing it's building up to, I bet that lasted for a good like hour or something, and just cut out like 5 seconds of it.
Yeah, I imagine it'd be like I imagine it'd have been at least a couple of hours.
Yeah,
like with the setup that they had and all that sort of thing, and you probably could like work it out from the lighting because there was like a open window beside Dawkins, so if you were very clever, you could probably work that out.
Well, we've talked a lot about the kind of the fallacies and the argument it makes. What do you think of it as an example of the documentary form?
It's not a documentary.
It's a propaganda film.
Yeah, no, it's pure propaganda. It's wonderful propaganda. I will give the filmmakers credit for that. It is very good propaganda.
Any time it cuts to Stalin is gold.
Oh, it's just like I wanted to get up out of my seat and start applauding, like just how like. And as I said before, it's just barefaced. Like they're not even trying to hide it. Like, and it gets more and more overt as it goes on. Like at the start, I think it was sort of, but I suppose at the start as well, it's less propaganda piece, more conspiracy theory.
There's a bunch of liberal elites who are out to get anyone who believes in this. We must combat them, and
exactly. Yeah,
well, that's how you get your safe seats in with that, and and then later, it's full on like these people are Stalin. They want to come and kill your baby with their Planned Parenthood centers, and
the last bit where it starts out with him talking about freedom, and there's like shots of like American flags and stuff like that, and then it ends with the same speech, and he's talking about freedom, and it's intercut with Reagan's speech about tearing down the Berlin Wall. And the best bit in that is where it's like Ben Stein is like blah 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 freedom, and then it cuts to Reagan, and he's like, and freedom will not keep this freedom will not be kept out by this wall.
The wall cannot stand against freedom's march.
Oh, it's just like, oh God, Ben.
Tone it down.
Just, bring it back just a little. And then the standing ovation he gets at the end, obviously paid extras. Like, there's people there that just look like they've come in off the street. Like,
yes, there is.
Yeah.
I love the bit right before that and right afterwards, him sat on like a desk. And like the way it's framed is so awkward. He's like not center. He's not quite in the center. Yeah. And he looks way too big for the desk. It makes him look like a sort of like overgrown child or something.
Well, have you seen the cover of this? Like or the poster of it? It's like him in like a schoolboy's outfit, in like little shorts and
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ, does that sound bad?
Yep.
So what do you, ostensibly as a religious podcast, what do you think of its portrayal of...
I've just shown him the poster.
What did you think of its portrayal of faith?
It's a pretty poor portrayal of faith, I should say.
This is the craziest thing we've seen since No Intelligence. Since you know what I mean.
A Matter of Faith. Yeah. No. This was this sort of shows religion to be a sort of petty, underhanded, awful sort of thing, because like like we keep going. They keep comparing the Christians to the evolutionists to Stalin and that sort of thing. But like, if Stalin had have seen this film, like the level of propaganda, he would have shed a tear, like at how beautiful it is. Like,
well, it's not even the thing that I found so disparaging is like you've got like great Russian propaganda like Battleship Potemkin.
Yeah,
this is no Battleship Potemkin.
No,
this isn't even Triumph of the Will. Like it's just so badly made and cheaply shot and stuff.
Yeah,
it shows just a complete lack of vision and just like the people behind this clearly have no respect for like artistry or like the documentary form as anything other than just an example to. I mean, wouldn't it be great if they spent the $3.5 million on like a narrative film where it were about like I don't know, like a professor has to kill Dawkins or something? Like.
Well, they did have their little animated featurette in the middle.
That's hilarious.
with Dawkins.
Hello. Oh no, I have heard the life. Like the voice is that bad for the person doing an impersonation of him.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But
hold on, that's not Dawkins. But yeah, how did you know that was Dawkins though? The character's merely called Richard.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about it that sort of clued me into that. Well, obviously, they were being, far too subtle for you.
Oh yeah.
But nothing gets by me. I suppose we should just wrap this up at this point.
Yeah. Would you recommend anyone to watch Expelled?
Well, it's on YouTube. I wouldn't suggest anyone pay to see it.
No, this is such a disgraceful film. I'd recommend just downloading it if it's on Netflix, avoid it and just download it.
Yeah,
download it and then send an email to Ben Stein.
Yeah, telling him how deplorable he is. Actually, don't do that. I'm
sorry and all, but like as a Jewish man, he should be ashamed of himself for trying to milk the Holocaust for this. Like,
oh yeah, no.
How is this anything but like him trading off of the injustices that have gone against his people? Like,
yeah.
How can he sleep at night? I know obviously that's a ridiculous thing to say, but this man should be ashamed of himself.
Yeah. No. Well, I think it's all well and good that he has these beliefs and he thinks that God created everything and all that sort of thing. But you are right. Like using the Holocaust to sort of make a comparison between what is happening now in sort of the it's absolutely deplorable what he sort of does, using it to sort of using the Holocaust to sort of conflate what's actually happening in academia at the moment with the whole intelligent design thing, which again, like this was made 10 years ago and the same thing is still happening. Like I'm surprised that it has held on for this long because we're on different tracks now.
Yeah, like they still consider themselves to be a persecuted minority. The evolutionists.
Oh, the evolutionists, yeah.
Persecuted.
Yeah. They absolutely are. Just need to turn myself down. That's insane. Anyway, because if you want to conflate evolutionism with like atheism and that sort of thing, or the evolutionist theory with atheism, the 70% of Christians in the United States against the 20-something% of atheists, yeah, or people with no religion. Like it's just you can see where that sort of you can see where the Christians think that they are a persecuted minority. Like when you look at those numbers. Yeah.
Well, it plays in a respect to sort of the Christ-like myth of we're persecuted, they're going to come for us, and like there's supposed to be that idea, isn't it, that Christianity is kind of a sort of it attracts people who want who are seeking kind of punishment and persecution and
it is kind of like a victim cult. So
yeah. But and it's interesting because the things they claim not to like culture and science. The only things in society where, like in American society, where they don't have a stranglehold on them.
Yeah.
Seemingly, they come after education as well, where they can't. Most places don't teach pure creationism.
No. I just think that it's from beginning to end, like it is completely pointless. It is trying to push this sort of agenda of intelligent design, which no one and I think that the thing is that no one's saying that you can't teach intelligent design. They're saying you can't teach it in science. That's where you can teach it in your church, and you can teach it in like your religious education classes, but you can't teach it in a science class because it's not based in science.
But how are you going to get the ones who don't go to church?
Well, you don't.
Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? They're upset about that. They want to get everyone.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah. Anyway.
Would you recommend watching this just for pure laughs, or do you not?
No, there's not enough laughs in it. It's very, very. It's hateful.
Hateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would suggest people start watching it at the point where you want to destroy everything that you know and love.
Oh, okay.
Switch